Welcome to another episode of Theological Sidebars. Hey guys, it's been a little while since we've done this, so here we go. This is a story that I wanted to deal with. It came out a little while ago, and it came with connection to the Dove Award. So this is from FaithWire. This was last month, probably about 3 weeks ago. And so the title is, "I'm Literally Speechless." Skillet's John Cooper says, "Weak Christianity led to drag queen at Dove Award." So in case you don't know what's going on, I'm going to interact with this article that came from FaithWire and just kind of talk through a little bit of what happened, and it'll explain it. I just want to interact with what John Cooper has said. So Skillet frontman John Cooper is calling out what he sees as wimpy and weak Christianity that has resulted in a drag queen showing up at the Dove Awards. Cooper's comments to church leaders came days after progressive drag queen Flamy Grant and songer Derek Webb showed up at the Gospel Music Association Dove Awards. Webb, who has won Dove Awards in the past, showed up to the Christian event in a dress. As a cis straight white man, I walk into a room like that, and any room, with an incredible amount of advantage and privilege, Webb said in a video. If I'm attending as an ally of friends and colleagues, I should do everything possible to surrender that privilege at the door. So you can go and watch that video. It's very interesting. And then he finishes, of course, that he has great legs, and that's why he wore his dress. But the article goes on to say, earlier this year, Webb released what he described as his first Christian gospel album in 10 years, featuring a song with the drag queen, Flamy Grant. The song "Boys Will Be Girls" includes the lyrics, "I heard Jesus loved and spent his life with those who were abandoned by proud and fearful men. So if a church won't celebrate and love you, they're believing lies that can't save you or them, 'cause you're so beautiful by any name." Grant, for his part, said he was attending the award show to have a good time as out and proud queer Christian musicians. We're there to represent, to take up your little bit of space and bring our queer joy to an award show that frankly needs it. So that's his whole purpose, right? As he wants to go to bring that to the award show. The article goes on to say, a lot of us grew up listening to contemporary Christian music, watching the Doves. While we're not interested in asking for acceptance or approval from the GMA, we accept and approve ourselves. Thank you very much. This little queer expedition party is about planting a metaphorical pride flag in a territory that hasn't been willing to wave one for us. Okay, so interesting. Cooper argued that people like Grant and Webb are taking advantage of Christians who don't know how to speak up boldly and compassionately on issues like sexuality. Obviously, they're just trying to get attention. They're trying to disrupt, and they're going about it in a very clever way. The truth is, they're being the aggressors in this. So that's interesting. So his take is that it's not that that these guys are the ones who are being oppressed, but that it's that they're the ones who are pushing and being the aggressors towards the Dove Awards people and the Christians there. He goes on to say, the author and recording artist went on to say that Webb and Grant are trying to antagonize the Christian music industry, including Christian artists, and have attempted to get them to affirm their views on the LGBTQ plus movement for years, asserting that they would not pull such a stunt at an event for Muslims. That is absolutely correct, by the way. Like, you would never see that, these artists or these people show up to anything else. They're going to do it for Christians and I think John's right when he says this. They know that Christians are so wimpy and weak. They know that Christians are then going to somehow feel intimidated by them and not know how to act. Although Cooper was not in attendance at the award show, he said that if he had been there, he would have simply ignored Grant and Webb. The singer said the choice not to engage with the two men would be out of obedience to Paul's writing in 1 Corinthians 5, 9 through 13. Now, that's an interesting passage, because I do think we should weigh into that. And it does talk about church discipline. So let me open that passage for just a second, and let me just talk to you about what is he saying. So he writes this. Paul does. He says, "I wrote to you in a letter not to associate with sexually immoral people. I did not mean the immoral people of this world, or the greedy, or the swindlers, or the idolaters. Otherwise, you would have to leave the world." He goes on to say, "But actually, I wrote to you not to associate with anyone who claims to be a brother or sister and is greedy and is sexually immoral, or greedy, an idolater, or verbally abusive, a drunkard, or a swindler. Do not even eat with such a person. For what business is it of mine to judge outsiders? Don't you judge those who are inside? God judges outsiders. Remove the evil person from among you. Now, this is obviously a passage, right, that is about church discipline. Paul is writing to the immoral congregation, or the immorality that's appearing within the congregation, and the people have been celebrating it, and Paul says, you got to get rid of that. You got to cast it out. That for Christians, there's a higher standard, right? That he's not talking about people who are outside. The non-believers just live this way. But if you're a Christian to say, I'm going to live this way, you have every right, to hold that bar high. And so this is obviously directed towards local church practice, right? And I think this is connected to the membership. This is what it means for church discipline in a membership. Now, Cooper is using this, saying that this would be his reason for why he would not even interact with these folks. He's saying they claim to be Christians, right? And so we should have nothing to do with them. So let's go on to the article, right? And just finish up what he says. He says, when you're dealing with people who claim the name of Christ, who then refuse to stop these patterns of behavior that the Bible condemns, then we have responsibility not to associate with these people, Cooper explains. So I would just ignore them. Now, I think he's absolutely right. Now, I just had a conversation, actually right before we started this, about, okay, well, what about people who just have different opinions? Can't we just all be Christ followers and come to different opinions on this? Like, I do think that this is something that, Andrew Marquez and I have been really trying to harp on, which is, okay, we have to be honest about how we come about our opinions here on the scriptures. We should try to say, what am I bringing into the text? So I think what happens is in a lot of these passages, people get to this point and say, it's okay, it's not a big deal. It's because I've brought something else into the text. I've made it say what I want it to say. And so I'll put some sort of background and say, well, when Paul says this, what he's really meaning is he's just talking about, polyandrous relationship or polyamorous relationship. He's not talking about committed monogamous relationships, right? So that's one of those things that that I think we just can't do. I think we have to be honest. What am I doing here? And so I think people on both sides need to be honest. Am I putting something that's behind the scenes, trying to make it say something different if I don't like it? Now, I think I want to continue to go on and just finish up the article. Cooper says this: if there was clarity. He says part of the problem, he added, is the lack of clarity on sexual morality within the Christian music industry. If there was clarity in the Christian music industry about what it truly meant to be a follower of Jesus, he said, I think that people wouldn't feel comfortable to come and express queer joy. I think they would be like, this isn't for us. That, however, goes back to this assertion that Christians are too timid on hot button issues. So he's saying, look, there's a problem with Christian music, right? There's not a clarity there. Now, granted, there's no Christian music pope, like all of these companies have got to make money. All of them have got to put out stuff. And so from the top down, like these aren't churches, these are not. And so understandably, this is why you get there. But he's saying it also comes from Christians themselves refusing to stand up and to say, who cares if this has now been hijacked and now political, right? Like this is a issue that is a biblical issue as well. And so it says those who hold to biblical sexual ethics are getting more afraid to say something because they feel bullied. They feel like the minority, he noted, and they're not sure what's going to happen if they do. They're not sure if there's going to be anyone in Christian music that has their back. The fact that any Christians are entertaining Webb and Grant, Cooper says, has left him literally speechless. Okay, so this is the article. It's very interesting. I think it's worth a thought, right? Of just like, what should our response be? And where is it today? Where are we at when it comes to for that? Like should our response be that for those who claim to be Christians that we need to take a higher a stance, a stronger stance of what it should mean, or is it kind of just all come? There's a question of, does it mean that we're going to love our neighbor? Is it unloving to take a stance? I would argue that 1 Corinthians 5 is not unloving, right? The point was that they would see the error of their way and come back to repentance. Regardless, I thought that was an interesting article. I hope that was helpful to you as you just kind of think through some of it, to be made aware of some of the issues that are going on, and to reconcile that even what just counts as Christian music today, right? That we should evaluate all of it. What are the words? What's going on? What are the message? I think all of us should evaluate message, regardless whether I'm listening to Christian or secular, right? But then again, on this too, what is my role when it comes to those who claim to be Christian and they live a certain way? And I think there's a way to come about it, right? You have to lovingly look at this. I think that's where you get Matthew 18 for church discipline. Here's how you deal with it. You don't just go lone gun away to add it how you want to. And I think also you have to really begin to just seek God and how am I going to address things, especially if you have a relationship with someone and they're part of the church body, the church membership. There's a call to be holy. The body is to be holy as Christ is holy. All right, that's all I got for now. I hope this was helpful. Let's talk to you a little bit later on. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Take care, guys.